Please come to order, everyone. Okay, calling the Ordinance Committee meeting for June 13th to order. Please call the roll.
Councilor Chilton?
Here.
Brackett?
Here.
Phillips?
Here.
Labrie?
Here.
Roy?
Here.
And also, is anybody on Zoom? I think so.
Jim Tillotson.
I'm sorry, Jim. Yeah, Councilor Tillison's on Zoom. And then our attorney, Tim Riley, John Bollier, assistant to the DPW superintendent, City Council President Frank Laflamme, City Councilor at Large, Bob Zagorowski, Doug Ellis, DPW Engineering Superintendent, Frank Boron, Building Commissioner, Councilor Del Marino Lopez, and our assistant, Carla Grace, and Scott Provost from IT running the meeting. I think I covered everybody. So, and I think the only one on Zoom at this point looks like Councilor Tillotson.
Yes.
In compliance with the open meeting laws, the city of Chicopee is recording this meeting. Is anyone else in the audience video or audio taping this meeting? If so, please state your name and organization. There is nobody here from the public area, and I don't see anyone on Zoom from any of the news organizations or any other persons. So we will proceed to item 1. Be it ordained by the City of Chicopee, ordained by the City Council of the City of Chicopee as follows, Chapter 260 as amended on February 21st, 1995, be amended by adding to the following in schedule parking regulations as followed: Albert Avenue, South Side, Broadway to a point 85 feet easterly thereof, parking prohibited here to corner. This had actually come up at our previous meeting, and I'll admit I misread the order. I thought it was for Broadway. I did talk to Councilor Zagorowski, and then also spoke to our engineering superintendent, Doug Ellis, about reducing the amount of no parking, because that's kind of a congested area. A lot of people in those multifamily units park on the street. So I will read his comments into the record for item 1 about the no parking. The original proposed ordinance above for no parking here to corner contained a distance of 85 feet, which was a minimal distance of 70 feet to allow for the passage of vehicles traveling in the opposite directions. Extended the extra 15 feet to the first driveway. The opening of Albert Avenue was field measured at 26.0 feet, sufficient width for a vehicle to be parked and 2 moving vehicles to pass each other, as is the case for the remainder of the street. I suggest the proposed ordinance be revised to a distance of 25 feet from Broadway, which is approximately the same distance to the porch of 207 Broadway as from Broadway. So I guess, can I have a motion to amend to 25 feet?
Motion to amend. Yes. A motion to amend to 25 feet.
Okay, and seconded by Jim and Councilor Tillotson.
Yes.
And anyone for public input on this issue? Okay, anyone on the committee have any discussion on this issue? Councilor Labrie.
So we're going from 85 to 25?
Correct. And Mr. Ellis, do you have any other comments you want to add besides what was in the report?
Nope, nope.
Okay. Anyone here in the chambers have anything that they'd like to add? Okay, can I have a motion to close public input?
Motion to close public input.
Please call the roll.
Councilor Chilton?
Yes.
Brackett?
Yes.
Phillips? Yes. Labrie?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
Okay, public input is closed. There was no other suggestions, so I guess can I have a motion to approve the amended order?
Motion to approve the amended order.
Second.
And seconded by Council Roy. Let me just strike this out. So I'm just striking out here where it says a point of 85 feet to 25 feet easterly thereof. Okay. Okay, please call the roll.
Counselor Sillton?
Yes.
Brackett?
Yes.
Stoll?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
And the vote is unanimous, 5-0. This will go to our next city council meeting. Okay, item number 2, be it ordained by the city council of the city of Chicopee as follows, that chapter 260 as amended on February 21st, 1995, be further amended by adding to the following in schedule parking regulations as follows: Meeting House Road, odd side from the intersection of Chicopee Street and Meeting House Road all the way to the beginning of the driveway of Stefanik School, directly across from the intersection of Elcon Drive and Meeting House Road, parking prohibited. This was filed by Councilor Lopez. If you'd like to speak on it, Councilor Lopez?
Sure, thank you. So this item and item 3 go hand in hand. They're on the same street. There's just different issues on part of the street, so we need to have an ordinance, as revised for the next one. This one is more than anything of the ordinance committee, just to ensure that, we have no parking on this side of the road signs up. There are no parking on this side of the road signs, and then as you move past, you move a few feet and there's a no parking sign, then you move a few feet and there's no sign for a while, and then you find a faded no parking on this side of the road. So there's just inconsistent signing, and we also need to reevaluate the distance between the signs. And the DPW has already stated that they will evaluate, if there should be any additional signage. So for this one, more than anything, it's informational, because the next one needs an ordinance change.
Okay. I'm just gonna read, Mr. Ellis's, comments here. There is an existing ordinance for no parking anytime on the south odd side of the Meeting House Road for its entire length, and there are existing no parking signs on that side of the road. DPW will change the existing no parking signs to no parking this side of street signs to the south odd side of the road while evaluating if additional signage is needed. Did you have any other comments you wanted to make, Mr. Ellis?
Not that, Council Lopez said what I mean. We'll change those signs to, no parking on the street. See if there's any major gaps, we'll put that outside.
Okay. So I think as was mentioned, this is not an actual ordinance change. This is more, I believe, informational, and DPW will, investigate adding additional signage. Okay.
Yeah, I would suggest that this one just be placed on file.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this on the side of the, school?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So what, are you saying that they're gonna go out and evaluate it, if there more signs are needed to put them up? They have to come before the board again to put them up. So recommendation back to the board, if more, if. they
Well, there's
have-
already an ordinance for that side.
Yeah, there's an existing ordinance.
The whole length of the
for
street?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I didn't, thank you. Just wanna make sure you're covered for.
Yeah.
And that was Councilor Laflamme, just to make sure.
And I would urge, there are definitely gaps, so I'm sure as you went out and you saw there are some huge gaps, that we will need new signs, but we don't need a further ordinance change because the ordinance exists.
We didn't need.
Is there anyone else? I mean, there's nobody here for public input, but is there anybody for public input, in the room that would like to speak on this? Anyone on Zoom would like to speak on this? Are there any, committee members that want to, speak on this?
When you have to, if you look at your paper, we gotta follow that paper. You have to call, roll call at the end of closing public input period.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do, make sure that we're all closed before I close it. So, can I have a
Motion to close public input.
Please call the roll.
Counselor Sillton,
Yes.
Crumpet,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yes.
Roy.
Yes.
And now can I have a motion to place on file?
Motion to place on file.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I didn't follow, what you were saying, so are you, I apologize, I'm just not following it, are you,
There's already an existing ordinance.
okay,
It's just that, more signage needs to be added and, DPW is gonna go out and evaluate that and then add more signs as needed, so it doesn't,
so we're not taking action on
no, we're not, we're just gonna place it on file at DPW, add additional
Okay, thanks.
signs, so. And can I have a, motion to place on file?
You did that.
I thought we did a motion to close public input.
I just
Motion to
made a
place on
motion.
file.
I just made that motion, but
Oh,
that's all right.
sorry, okay, sorry. Okay, please call the roll, to place on file.
Counselor Sillton,
Yes.
Crumpet,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yes.
Roy.
Yes.
And Jim Tillotson, voted yes, and he's on Zoom. And the motion to place on file has been approved 5-0. And this will go to our next city council meeting. Okay, item 3, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Chicopee as follows, that Chapter 260, as amended on February 21st, 1995, be further amended by adding to the following in schedule, other, no stopping or standing. Meeting House Road, odd side at the beginning of the intersection of Meadow and Meeting House Road, ending at the driveway of Stefanik School across from the intersection of Elcon Drive and Meeting House Road. No stopping or standing, and this order was filed by Councilor Lopez. And I'll let you speak on that, please.
Thank you. So this one will actually need approval because there is, verbiage to change this. So as it exists, like the last motion, the entirety of the street has no parking on this side. However, it was brought to my attention, I can't take full credit for this whatsoever, it was brought to my attention by our C3 unit. They go to Stefanik in the morning, and part of the issue they have been having is that parents will stop in their cars and on part of the street park, but they won't leave their cars, so technically it's not parked if you're not actually leaving the car. And they'll wait for the kids, and it'll cause severe backup on that street. That street is not wide enough or intended for there to be parking on both sides. That's why we have that ordinance begin with, and it has caused significant issues. So for that portion that goes from Meadow Street to the end of the drive at the Panic, I'm proposing an ordinance change so that there's no stopping or standing either, so that they can actually enforce it, because they can't give a ticket for someone if they're still in the car. And the school administration has also expressed that this is an issue. So we do need, a proposed ordinance change. The wording has been, proposed to be changed a little differently, just so that it's in, it reads in the same way that it's consistent with our other ordinance readings. So our city engineer, Doug Ellis, has proposed that instead of the original wording, we amended to say south outside from Meadow Street to a point 540 feet westerly thereof, no stopping or standing. And so we don't need the no parking on that one, because the no parking wording still exists from the ordinance from item number 2. So we just need to add for that specific portion, no stopping or standing as well. So we would need a motion to amend with that wording, and then a motion to approve if this,
Okay. All right, is there, any public input? Is there any input, from the committee? Or any input from outside the committee?
Just a quick question.
Mr. Bollier?
So Doug has put in here, DPW had no parking, no standing, no stopping signs along this section of Meeting House Road. Now, I know it was said, that we want this side of street, so are we putting no parking, no standing, no stopping, this side of street, all on one side, correct?
So on these ones, there would be no parking this side of the street, and then no stopping, no standing, because the no stopping, no standing is not for the entire side of the street, only the no parking part is. So there's
No stopping, no standing is going for 540 feet.
exactly, so it would be no parking on this side of the street on the entire street,
Yep.
and then on those specific signs, it would say no parking on this side of the street, no stopping, no standing.
No, I thought we talked last night with C3, they're putting one sign, no parking, no stopping, no standing.
Yes.
On that
It's gonna
specific
be
part.
one side, but they wanted on, Al wanted on this side of street also, because that was his big thing, is at this side of street on there last night when we talked to Al.
Right, so that would be on the whole street, so no standing and no stopping is not on the entirety of the street, no.
No, I get that, but on the sign, it's gonna say no parking, no stopping, no standing, this side of street. That's not listed on the way you want this written.
So the wording he's saying is this side of the street,
Should be on that 540,
but I don't
because
think-
he asked for this side of street specifically.
why do you
last
need that?
night.
Your direction is where you go to put signs on them.
What we can do on that is we can keep the no parking this side of the street and put a second sign that says no standing or stopping, like between signs or something.
Yeah.
We can put those on the same.
So we're not making one, so we're leaving no parking, then we're gonna put no stopping, no standing signs up.
That way
On
we
all-
can
on
do
the
it
pole.
just on the,
I
And
think
the
we're
other
gonna
ones are
follow-
gonna be no side, on this side of the street for no parking.
Exactly.
So all the signs are coming down and all new signs.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, even the ones that exist that say no parking on this side of the street are washed out, so we do need all new signs on that street. So the entire street is gonna have no parking on this side of the street along the entire street. And then for those 540 feet, a secondary sign that says no standing, no stopping. So
That's
the
why
this side is still there.
we were putting all three things on one sign, but now we're not doing that. Okay, so we're not doing that.
No, I actually think that putting it all on one might be confusing, because it's not no stopping or standing on the whole street, so we don't necessarily want that to be confusing for most either. It's just for that portion.
And from our standpoint, I'd like to have C3 come out, or somebody come out and mark where they want these, because if everybody seems to think if there's not enough, I wanna know where they want them, because even Alan told me last night, he said, we approach people that are in their cars and don't stand, and they get brushed off, the cops do. So I said, if a sign is there, you're gonna give them a ticket, they're still gonna brush you off, so he wants more signs, so if we can, whoever wants to tell us where we wanna put.
I'm happy to, I've gone there with the C3 unit, and I know exactly where it is, like, the sign, I'm happy to go
Mark
through.
a big X and we'll do a dig safe.
I can talk to, Sergeant Blankenship tomorrow, because we need to tomorrow, and do some stuff.
So we can start, because we may, but I was gonna go down to that one and see where they want them. Because then I have to order a dig safe for the ones that have to go in. And the other ones that have to come down,
Within the 540.
So for the no stopping, no standing, yeah.
Put them wherever you want, but within that 540.
We're gonna need a lot more of the no stopping, no standing ones. The no parking on this side of the street, we probably won't need as close together, but we do need some more. I'm happy to go there with Al tomorrow, we have a C3 meeting, we can go after there and mark it in some way, if you want like a little flag or something, since it's raining, I'm happy to do that.
I just don't, we don't wanna put them out the state now, put them out the state now.
No, I agree, let's do it right once.
Because I know they have a drop off and they're not following the drop off.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why this is coming up in ordinance now. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. I don't think I actually read, Doug Ellis's, comments in the record, so I'm gonna do that now. No parking still allows a vehicle to stop and unload passengers or goods. The vehicles cannot be left unattended. No standing allows drop-off / pickup of passengers, but no unloading of goods. No stopping does not allow the unloading of passengers nor goods. The proposed ordinance wording above is adequate. However, to be consistent with the recent ordinance wordings, perhaps the ordinance should read as follows: Meeting House Road, south odd side from Meadow Street to a point 540 feet, westerly thereof, no stopping or standing. DPW will add no parking, no standing, no stopping signs along this section of Meeting House Road. That has been discussed, so did I make a motion to close public input already on this one?
No.
No, okay, then can I have a motion to close public input on this?
Motion to close public input.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Counselor Singleton,
Yes.
Traffus,
Yes.
Stoll,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yeah.
Roy.
Yes.
And can I have a motion to amend the order with the wording of, Meeting House Road, south odd side from Meadow Street to a point 540 feet westerly thereof, no stopping or standing?
Motion to amend the order.
I'll second it.
Okay, please call roll to amend the order.
Counselor Singleton,
Yes.
Traffus,
Yes.
Stoll,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yes.
Roy.
Yes.
That has been approved, and then, can I have a motion to approve the amended order, please?
Motion to approve the amended order.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Counselor Singleton,
Yes.
Traffus,
Yes.
Stoll,
Yes.
Labrie,
Yes.
Roy.
Yes.
Gentlemen.
You, and I'll correct them after. And the order as amended has been approved 5-0. This will go before the full city council at our next meeting, and Councilor Sullivan voted yes via Zoom. All right. Item 4, be it ordered that the ordinance committee review the current tag sale policy. This order was filed by Councilor Flam, so I will let him speak on it.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay, all right. No, we're on your
Yeah,
your
so,
order for the tag sale policy.
Frank and I have, been working, Frank from the building department and I have been working on this, for about a year now. A couple of the problems we see is people are now having tag sales that, and says, well, this is an estate sale. So we have to put the word estate sale in there too, because there's a particular piece of property up in Aldenville that they're having every weekend. So, and they're changing the name of it, and they're using a different one, so, Frank, you wanna talk a little bit about, what we wanna do about it? Yeah, so, not gonna mention properties.
Yeah, so we have an ongoing issue with numerous people having constant tag sales throughout the city, and we're just trying to control that a little better. We don't have permits for tag sales, I don't know if that's something we wanna think about, and maybe have permitting for tag sales, maybe not a fee, but just a tracker, so we know how many tag sales are being done from that location. But we do have numerous individuals and residents that are still doing tag sales numerous times, send ours out and violations, and it just seems like it's an ongoing situation. So we're just trying to get something accomplished to see if we can get something a little bit more detailed, so the residents know how to run their tag sales and what we're trying to have them do.
And then,
Councilor Flam?
another one, if I can, the other one that was brought up is, we wanna put them all, it does say it's, oh, I'm sorry. Is garage sales. People are using it and saying, well, I'm only having a garage sale. So we wanna put them all together, so anybody that calls it in, they know that they're every one, we try to figure everyone. But, it was just showing to me, we do have a state sale in there, wasn't in the other paperwork when you and I looked at it. So we might look at your order.
Correct, and maybe we just gotta put it all together.
Yeah, it might be in there, but we wanna make sure it's in there, so we just wanna add them all and and how many times is I believe it's 3 times a year. Three. That's what I said, 3 times a year, so we wanna leave that at the most 3 times a year.
So it's 3 times a year, it's written for 72 hours.
Yeah.
So I have people that say, well, I only did it 8 hours this day, so I still have, 64 hours to go. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way, it goes by days, so
Right.
3 tag sales per year, that's it. But it really doesn't say that, so it should really say 3 days, not 72 hours. Because people, they'll argue that, and that's what they do with me, because it's written that way, so I can't really enforce it, I mean, I tell them like, well, that's not what we're trying to accomplish here. So I think some of that language needs to be just updated a little bit better.
No, just,
If I could just, and this.
yep, go ahead, Councilor Flam.
I agree with him, I'm trying to think way back, because this was a long time ago. We started doing this. 3 times in a calendar year, don't put time, because even officers, if he goes there one day, and sees them, okay, these documents, this particular property, the cops would go there and keep we make them document, because we knew there was a lot of problems. Because once they have the 3 times, then they can go themselves and just give it and not wait for someone else to call them. So, I think we need to bring this back, maybe work on some language on it, now that we're discussing it, and put all this in there with the council to, put something together that we can all work on. So those things, and I agree, 72 hours should not be there.
Okay, good, Councilor Roy?
Better to put 3 consecutive days, right?
What happens is sometimes it rains, they start and they close up for the day, or they do one weekend and the second weekend and third. If you do all in one day, one weekend, there's a lot of people that can't do that. If you want to do that, I think 3 times in a calendar year.
So what you're saying is if they do it one weekend, then another weekend, and another weekend, that's 3 times?
Yeah, no, 3 calendar days. Just days, one day on Saturday for 3 weeks. Some people go and they clean out half their house and they go around there, especially the state. So it'd be 3 days period, however you want to use it.
We just had an estate sale at the corner of Grant Street in Columbia that was going on for a couple of weeks. And so I even stopped there and I said, look, I'm not here to give you a hard time, but, this is not, you can't stay open until everything's done here. It doesn't work that way.
It's still going on.
They basically stopped and they were trying to sell some of the belongings from the house and they cleaned it up. So, but these are the things that we're getting stuck with these estate sales. They're going on a little bit longer, and I can see why, because they want to sell as much as they can and get what they can to clean out the property. Yeah. But I think calendar days would be the way to go, and, if they do a Saturday and Sunday, then they got one more day. If they do it another weekend or throughout the year, or just do it on Saturdays throughout the year, some people do one in the spring, one in the summer, and one in the fall.
So what are you looking for total for the season?
Total of 3 calendar days through the year, correct?
For the whole season?
For the whole season.
So they couldn't do it more than once if they did it on a weekend?
I don't know that.
Yeah, it's always been that way, 72.
Get to you.
You gotta keep in mind, if I can, another reason this came up was, a lot of people are having tag sales, and what they do, they have them in the driveway, and they're looking into other people's backyards, because they have long driveways. People complain that, you know, I don't mind them having a tag sale, but they're looking at everything they have in their backyards, you know, so it's a nuisance for a lot of people.
I don't like it.
Okay. Councilor Lopez?
Thank you. So I definitely understand the concerns regarding these like very elongated tax sales and estate sales. I do believe that 3 calendar days is a little restrictive. I would agree to perhaps like 3 instances, and then we define instances as a longer period than 24 hours, right? So we could say one instance is up to 72 hours, and that would give people a weekend. And so then technically you choose if you want to have it all weekend or one day of the weekend, but regardless of how long it is, that's one instance, and you get up to 3 of those. I think that still takes care of the issue of, like, for example, 2 weeks. Even if you were to use all of your instances, you have up to 72 hours where it's counted as an instance. You're not going to be able to get more than a week's worth of estate sale. But I do believe that 3 calendar days is a little restrictive. For some people, this is their hobby. For some people, this is a way to make some extra money. And I just don't think it should be that restrictive.
Okay, thank you.
If I can
Councilor
answer-
Flam?
We had the police officers there several times, and they all said the same thing. We're not going there to watch, count the hours they're there. They can't do it. It's just not feasible to do it, you know, and I heard a comment about, you know, this is their hobby. Well, a lot of people are, you know, it's just too much for them. So I'd like to see them try it, and if there's complaints, we'll deal with it. But, the biggest thing was the police officers were telling us, we're not gonna go there at 8 o'clock and say, what time did you start? And I get where Councilor Lopez is coming from, but, you know, that's not their job to do that. Where they have a consistency, you get a complaint, they go that day, and then another day you call the police officer and say, hey, you're past the 3, could you just document it for me? They'll send a cruiser over, because this is what we did. We sent a cruiser over there a second time, and it was still happening, we went over the 3rd time, and now the police department has the 3 days documented. It's just something that we thought was.
Okay, Councilor Lopez?
So just to clarify the suggestion that I made, we don't need the officers to sit there and like count time. So let's say I call it in right now, there's a tax sale or an estate sale happening. This is one instance, and let's say 72 hours from now, that's still happening. They can come back 73 hours from now and it counts as another instance. We don't have to be there and count the amount of hours. It's an instance up to 72 hours. So if you do it for 5 hours that day, or you do it for the whole weekend, it still counts as one instance. So it's not like you need to keep coming back to count the time. That's not the way it's written, as I'm suggesting it. It's the one time, if a neighbor calls and says they've been doing this for 3 days in a row, you go back and you know that it's within 3 days in a row, that's an instance. If it's longer than the 72 hours and they come back and it's still happening, it counts as a second instance. I don't,
That's all. I'd rather see 24 hours for a whole week.
yeah, I mean, and that's where we disagree, right? We're allowed to disagree. And so I would say,
Add the hours to 72 hours on a weekend is.
that's 3 days of the weekend, though, if you really think about it, right? So that gives people the ability to do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you so choose to. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're allowed to disagree. I disagree with the up to 24 hours. I think that's very restrictive. I think there are ways to manage having, you know, tax sales and estate sales for long periods of time, and that is one way to do it, to be less restrictive and to allow folks to have it for an instance up to 72 hours. But that's the beauty of multiple perspectives.
Okay, and this is just a discussion tonight, so there's,
Exactly.
you know, nothing to file. Councilor LeBrie?
So I agree that, 3 days, 72 hours, you could have an all night, 2 nights, from Friday morning till Sunday night or whatever.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you can, I think that has to be cleaned up a little bit to clarify it. But I do agree with, giving the people at least 3 times to have and not 3 days. 3 times to have a tag sale. I don't get too many complaints. I get the same 2 houses all the time. We all know which one.
Anyone else?
Just to follow up, Councilor Reed, if I may, I And I think that's another thing we can look at, right? So we can say up to 72 consecutive hours, but only in between the hours of X and X. So that still takes care of it, right? So the clock still starts ticking. Let's say we're allowing people to do it from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatever. The clock starts ticking at that 8 a.m. mark for the 72 hours. Doesn't mean you can be open for the full 72 hours, but your consecutive time does begin at that time. So I think that's great input to also put a start and an end time.
Okay, all right. Councilor Domas?
I'm just gonna throw an input, maybe we should expand it to maybe just 5 or 6 calendar days, if that's easier. It gives someone a chance. You can have, 2 or 3 tax sales in the year, and it should be relatively easy to track. I don't know. I know Burnett Road, some people have them in the obviously the fall is a big one, but some people have them in the spring too. So that would be enough for 2 or 3 weekends.
Anyone else? Anyone on the committee? Anyone else outside the committee? Anyone for public input? And seeing as none, can I have a motion to close public input? To close public input? Second it, Jerry? Second, okay. Please call the roll to close public input.
Counselor Stillson?
Yes.
Yes.
Stoll?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
And I don't think there's any more discussion. Anybody else for more discussion before we, all right, motion to place on file?
Chairman,
Oh, sorry.
we ask anybody's on Zoom?
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyone on Zoom, have
Yes,
anything they want?
yes, there's
Sorry, go ahead,
an
Councilor
extra,
Tolson.
there's an extra position coming up in the budget that deals with the building department, which might help out a lot if that person would work at least some Saturdays, because that's when most people have their CAG sales or estate sales, whatever they want to call it. And we don't have anybody that I know of that works on Saturday. And if he does, he would take another day off during the week. So would an additional person in the budget for this coming year, if it stays there, then that person should be allowed to work on at least on Saturday for a while, so that he can go around and check to make sure we're not having the same person every Saturday having a tag sale. So I think that'll help.
All righty, thank you, Councilor Tolson. Anyone else on Zoom? Okay, can I have a motion to place on file?
Motion to place on file.
Second.
Okay, please call the roll to place on file.
Counselor Stillson?
Yes.
Brackett?
Yes.
Stoll?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll change it before we leave.
There's 2 out there, 2.
And we have 5 in favor, 0 against, and Councilor Tillotson voted in favor on Zoom. And this will go before us at our next full city council meeting. And then item 5 is the meeting minutes from May 23rd, 2023.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Counselor Stillson?
Yes.
Brackett?
Yes.
Stoll?
Yes.
Labrie?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
Okay, that was all in favor of approving the meeting minutes. And can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Third.
And please call the roll.
Counselor Stillson?
Yes.
Brackett?
Yes.
Stoll?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And we are adjourned. Thank you all. And Counselor Tillotson voted in favor of adjourning and the meeting minutes from Zoom.